Hi YouTube, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another review of Married at First Sight, Season 13, Episode 15, Memory Lane and A Dirty Little Secret. So this is the episode where the couples go back to their childhood homes and they also read a letter that they wrote to their childhood selves. So let's start off with Johnny and Bao. So they visit Johnny's childhood home. They didn't go inside. I'm assuming that it's probably owned by another person now, but they were standing outside the house and Johnny talks a little bit about his childhood and he shows Bao pictures of him and his cousins growing up throughout the years. His cousins were almost like his siblings because they spent so much time together. And he also talks about the divorce of his parents. So I think during Johnny's formative years, I don't know if he was a teenager or a preteen, his parents had divorced. His father ended up moving to LA. Him and his mom and his sister stayed in Houston, Texas. And he talks about how the divorce had really affected him because he was basically one of those kids who didn't have a dad around. And he talked about how there was no father there for his little league games. And then when they would go out to eat, other families would be there with their dad and he would be without his dad. So his dad was always missing in the picture and that really affected him. And even though in the Asian community, divorce is not really it's not done quite as often as it is in American culture. He says that his mother did the right choice by divorcing his dad. He also talks about how his dad had, when he was younger, his father had flown him, his mom, and his sister to LA. And when they got there, he had bought a house in Los Angeles. And he had told them that he wanted everyone to live there, basically for the family to come back together again. And his mother was like, no, that's not going to happen. So the mother told the father to never come to Texas again, and he never did. And so that contributed to the estranged relationship that Johnny has with his dad. Him and his dad are not very close. He also talks about how, his dad now is an older man and he's alone. He never remarried, didn't have any other children. And he's basically, having dinner by himself every night. And Johnny said that he does not want that for himself. He wants to have a life partner. And so we're thinking, okay, well, I'm thinking, okay, maybe he's really going to try to put a little bit more effort with Bao to try to make it work. And we move on to Bao. So Bao takes him to where she grew up. She actually lived in a trailer and a very poor, dilapidated 50-year-old trailer. Her family was very, very poor. And when they went to her childhood home, the trailer obviously was not there anymore. It was just, the land that was there. And she was telling Johnny how they had a lot of fruit trees around their trailer, and the trees grew a lot of fruit. And she remembers just throwing fruit into the street. And she also recalls a memory where she would build little bonfires and she would put her Barbie dolls and burn them in this little bonfire. And when she recalled that memory, Johnny looked very worried, very scared. Then she also talks about how her father had suffered from PTSD. He must have had a very severe case of the PTSD because I'm assuming that has something to do with him being abusive towards the family, especially Bao's mother. She does hint, and she's hinted in previous episodes that her father was emotionally abusive and also possibly even physically abusive as well to her mother. But she says that now her parents have been married for 50 years and that their marriage is in a lot better place now than it ever was. And Johnny kind of begins to understand Bao a little bit better as far as why she is so determined to make this marriage with him work, because she comes from a background where the parents stuck together no matter what, and he comes from the background that when the going got tough, the tough got going, they left. So because of his parents divorcing, he says that he finds it easy for him to leave relationships, whereas with Bao, when things get difficult, she wants to work through them and she wants to make things better. So he says basically he kind of understands where she's coming from as far as, how hard she tries to work with him and how hard she tries to keep the marriage together. It's kind of, he's beginning to understand her more now, knowing what kind of background she came from, which was nice. She also told Johnny that she rarely shares any information about her childhood, and that she's never taken anyone to her childhood home or the area that she grew up in because she's been really ashamed of her upbringing. And Johnny is basically the first person that got to see where the area that she grew up in. And so that just shows, them sharing, getting to know each other better, and it made me feel a little bit hopeful, but that hope didn't last very long. So they have a meeting with Dr. Pepper, and Dr. Pepper asks them, have you learned everything that you need to know about your partner, because decision day is coming up soon. And Johnny responds by, I haven't learned everything about her, but I've learned enough. I've learned what I need to know. And okay, this sounds a little bit concerning. And he proceeds to tell Bao and Dr. Pepper that he spoke with one of Bao's friends by the name of Sarah, because Sarah was looking for a car. And I guess Johnny is in the industry of selling cars, I think. So he spoke with Sarah to help her find a car, but then the conversation got to his relationship with Bao. And Sarah asked Johnny, so how are things going? And of course, you give Johnny the opportunity to talk about Bao, he's going to unload, and it's going to be every negative thing he can possibly say about his wife. So he basically told Sarah that, yeah, things are not going good. And Sarah wasn't surprised at all. In fact, Sarah said that she herself would never be in a relationship with Bao, even though that's her own friend. And she would never recommend for anyone else to be in a relationship with Bao, because Sarah told Johnny Bao is extremely controlling. And she's the kind of person that she is so controlling that she will break you down to the point where you have to lean on her, and then she will build you in the exact image that she wants. This is what Sarah's friend told, this is what Bao's friend told Johnny. Her own friend said this to her husband. So when Sarah told Johnny that, of course he ran with it, because any narrative that makes Bao look negatively, he's going to eat it up. He likes that because it fits his conclusion that Bao is not the woman for him. So I was just so mad that out of all the friends that he could have talked to, that he could have had a conversation with, he chooses the one friend that for whatever reason doesn't see it for Bao. So when he's retelling this conversation that he had to Bao and to Dr. Pepper, you can tell that Bao was like completely blindsided by this. And she admits to making mistakes in her past relationship, but that had nothing to do with what's going on now, because she says that she's learned from her past relationships. And so she's not taking any of that, whatever mistakes that she made, she's not bringing that into this relationship. She's actually trying to do better, and she's trying to do things differently. And Dr. Pepper was encouraging her to speak, because Dr. Pepper said, well, we need to give her an opportunity to defend herself from these allegations. And also, Bao was saying that I don't really talk to Sarah because she's such a negative person, and she never wants to give positive advice, and so I don't reveal too much to her. So she doesn't know what's going on in our relationship because I don't share that with her. So Sarah is not privy with what's happening here and what's happening now. And then Dr. Pepper was kind of like asking Johnny, why are you so quick to believe what the things that Sarah is saying? Like, why? And I'm thinking to myself, now, Johnny, didn't you see this as a red flag? Like, supposedly she says she's Bao's friend, but she's so quick to throw Bao under the bus. Like, wouldn't you think that's a little bit suspicious? Like, are you really her friend? Wasn't that a red flag for you? But no, it wasn't, because it fits his conclusion that Bao is not the one for him. So, later on, they have dinner. Bao and Johnny have dinner together. And Bao, wants to talk about the whole Sarah thing. And Johnny said that Sarah had asked him, do you see yourself living like this, meaning with Bao, living like this and with these issues for the rest of your life? And Johnny was like, no, I don't see myself staying in this situation forever. So Bao was like, well, I'm still here. I'm still willing to work this out with you. I want to be here. I want to be with you. So I'm still here. So the ball is in your court. And as soon as she said that, Johnny was like, so why is it always, what did he say exactly? Why is it always the blame Johnny game? And I'm like, just because she said the ball is in your court, you think she's blaming you for something? Only thing she's saying is, I'm here for this marriage. I'm here for you. I want us to work out. So it's up to you as far as what you want to do with this situation. It wasn't blaming him for anything. She was basically saying, I've already told you what I want to do. So now it's your turn to make your decision of what you want to do. He gets upset and then he storms out. He leaves. He walks out. There's some really deep turmoil going on with Johnny. I've never seen anything like this, where there's no obvious issue of what the problem is that he's having with her, but he always reacts like she's just done the most horrific thing to him, or that she's just said the most offensive thing to him whenever he just storms out. And the way he talks about it to his family, like when he went to the cookout with his family and said, I didn't want to bring her because I don't want y'all to get close to her because I don't even like her. And how he's all like at the dinner with the rest of the couples when he said that she was a liar, that she doesn't cook anything and she doesn't do anything. But in reality, she was cooking. Y'all were cooking together. I'm just like flabbergasted on how much he hates this woman. Obviously, and hopefully, they are going to get a divorce at the end of it all. But in the process, can you show a little bit respect to a woman who's not done anything to you, who only wants the best for you, who always appears like she's, she wants to be with him. She wants to be married to him. She wants to work it out with him. And she's changed a lot. You can tell that she's changed a lot because there's a noticeable switch in her. She's not the same person. She's a lot more subdued. She looks a lot more troubled. She's like, there's a sadness about her because being in this marriage with this man is tearing her down. And she even had told Dr. Pepper that she has to keep the conversation at a level 1, and Dr. Pepper was like, what do you mean by that? And she says, they have to keep everything really surface. They can't talk about emotions. They can't dig too deep regarding how they really feel about anything. That everything has to be very, very simple, very on the surface. And so they're not really progressing when it's like that. To me, they're not. But he left. I'm assuming he didn't come back that night. And that's where that ended with Bao and Johnny. It's really, really sad because unless she's doing something off camera, I don't know why he dislikes her so much. If she's not your type, if you're not used to, I think that maybe she's not her type. She's not his type. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not going to speculate on what his type is, but unless she's doing something else, out, when the cameras are off, I'm clueless as far as why he is treating her like this. Because even if she's not your type, there is a level of respect. And he just dogs her out, disrespects her horribly. And maybe this just shows his character, which is really sad. If this is his character, if this is how he is, it's really sad. I'm talking too much about them. Zach and Michaela. So Zach is requesting to speak with Dr. Pepper alone. And in her confessional, Michaela says that she hasn't spoken to Zach since he left the retreat. She had reached out to him multiple times, trying to call him, texting him, and he wasn't responding. And I'm like, I don't understand. You see, Michaela, to me, she's also a little bit on the immature side because when they were at the retreat and he was trying to explain to her, I have an issue with your outbursts. And the conversation didn't go well when they were at the retreat. I don't want to, rehash history, but she told him, okay, then you can leave. When he says, I don't think I want to stay or whatever, he was considering leaving that night. And she was like, okay, you can leave. Bye, go away. So you told him to leave. He left. Why are you reaching out to him? Why are you calling him? Why are you texting him? Because he even had offered to stay the night and they could leave together the next morning. So he offered to take her with him the next morning. And she was like, nope, you can leave now. You can go now. So why are you reaching out to him? You told him to leave. He left. Why are you trying to, reach out to him and text him constantly and call him constantly? So Zach meets with Dr. Pepper. He tells Dr. Pepper that Michaela's been texting him nonstop, and he talks to Dr. Pepper about their decision. They had an agreement that they were going to continue dating after the divorce, that they were going to choose divorce, but continue to see each other afterward. And you can tell, like, Dr. Pepper was like, what? And he knew that he was done with Michaela when they were at the retreat, and they were having the discussion about the divorce, and Michaela was acting really confused. Like, why do you want to date me after the divorce? Because I'm going to be the same person, whether I'm your wife or your girlfriend. I'm the same person. So why would we have to go through a divorce and continue to date if nothing really is changing? And then that's when she kind of like flipped out. And I thought a bee was attacking her because she was just like, her arms and legs were just wailing everywhere. So that's when she like jumped off the chair, jumped off the couch that they were sitting on, and literally like ran away, ran off into the distance somewhere. And he says to Dr. Pepper that that's when he knew that he was done with her, that it was over, because it was so unnecessary. I guess I don't know. He's just not used to all of that. And so Dr. Pepper recommends having a conversation with Michaela, and she says that she's going to be the mediator. So she tells Zach, you don't have to talk to her directly. You can talk to me, and then I can relay to her what you're trying to say. So he agrees. So Michaela comes out, and Michaela said that, Zach left her, and abandonment is a trigger for her because, of her father passing away. And even though she begged him to stay, he still left her. So she correlates, the whole thing about Zach leaving to how she felt when her father passed away, which can be understandable. Your dad was taken from you. So when your husband leaves you, you get that same fear that they're not going to come back. Okay, I'm with you on that, Michaela. We're vibing with that. And Zach's issue is Michaela's explosive dramatics. Michaela denies it. She's like, no, she doesn't have that. She doesn't do those things. And that's when Zach left. He left the meeting. He was like, I can't do this right now. And it's like, okay, yes, I agree. You can't do this right now because you're talking to someone who is not living in reality. So how can we fix the problem when you can't even acknowledge that there is a problem? So I was surprised that Michaela denied that she has these dramatic outbursts because it's all on camera. But she says, no, I'm not like that. I don't do that. And that's when Zach got up and he left. He says he couldn't do it, so he left. So Michaela, she's talking to Dr. Pepper alone, and she says that she really regrets having a panic attack, when she watched him drive away, and that she felt scared, she felt abandoned, she felt angry. So she calls that a panic attack when she stormed back into the wherever they were staying in, that big red barn bed and breakfast building. When she stormed back in there and she was flipping tables over and slamming doors shut, she said that she was having a panic attack of him leaving. But why are you having choose your words wisely. You told this man, okay, bye, you can leave, go away. And as he was attempting to continue to talk to her, she was like, bye, go away, bye, bye, bye. And he left, and now you're mad. And then people will say, well, Zach, you need to understand that she really wanted you to stay. No, you need to say what you mean and mean what you say. You're an adult, you're a grown-up, you know how to use your words, you know how to express yourself. So say what you mean and mean what you say, because you're going to say the wrong thing and get the result that you're seeking and then still not be happy about it. So Dr. Pepper tells her that she needs to work on her reactions and she needs to work on not projecting her father's death on her relationships, which I was like 1,000% in agreement with. You cannot, every time someone breaks your heart, anytime that someone makes you upset or whatever, anytime that a relationship ends or someone walks out of the room, you can't go back to, well, my dad abandoned me, so this really triggers my abandonment issue. Well, not abandon her, her dad passed away. You need to deal with your father's death. Maybe you're not ready for marriage or you're not ready for anything this serious because you haven't really dealt with your father's death. Because I think prior to getting married, her father had only been gone, I want to say just a few months. I don't think it's been years. I think it's been like a few months since her father passed away. So maybe she hasn't dealt with the death of her father. So she's every time, and then I feel like she weaponizes her father's death to make people do what she wants them to do. So that, Zach, I was going to call him Jack, so that Zach can feel this guilt of, leaving her. Oh, I can't leave her. I can't walk out because her father died. And I don't want to trigger those feelings of, her father's death. So, that's not cool. Michaela, you need to deal with your father's death so that when Zach or whoever you're with wants to break up with you, or they leave the home, or they storm out angrily, that you're not going to be triggered by that. That's not going to trigger you, because it's going to happen, and you cannot live your life always like freaking out when someone doesn't want to share a space with you. So later on, Michaela says that Zach had called her. I guess, I don't know if this is the same day. I have no idea about the time frame. But anyway, Michaela says that Zach had called her asking for a closure meeting. So they have a second meeting with Dr. Pepper. Michaela says that she gave the relationship her all. Now they're sitting on the couch. Of course, there's like this huge distance between them on the couch. And she refuses to look at him. And the conclusion of this second meeting is that Zach wants to give it another go, and he wants to try again. And Michaela is a little bit more reserved. So before, Zach was the one that was done with it all, but now he wants to work it out. But now Michaela is done with it all. So I think the reason why Zach wants to work it out again, I think because, he wants that old thing back, if you know what I mean. He had mentioned, like a little bit when they came back from their honeymoon, he had talked about how they had consummated their marriage, and he was like, if this is how it's going to be for the rest of my life, I'm going to die a happy man. So I think that's what he really misses from Michaela. And I think that when he wants to work it out with her, he wants that thing back. That's what I think. And then after he gets his fill of that, he's back to, oh, I can't stand your outbursts, and we should get a divorce and maybe date afterwards. And then when he misses, okay. So Dr. Pepper tells them that, divorce has two different meanings. When you talk about divorce, it's something different from what she thinks divorce is. To her, divorce is a finality. Divorce means it's over. We're done. And to Zach, it means, yeah, we're going to divorce, but that's just going to be opening up a door to another aspect of our relationship. So basically, it seemed like they're going to keep trying. And then they went into the elevator together without the camera crew. And so I wonder if they're reconnected in the elevator. I'm just wondering. I think they have a very strong attraction to each other. They have a lot of chemistry with each other. And I think that, And I think that that's what, when he says working things out, I think that's what he means. Let's move on to Merla and Gill. Okay, Merla and Gill, they go to Gill's childhood home. This is really, really sad. They go to Gill's childhood home, and he says that's the home where his father was killed because his father was murdered. And he tells the story of that day. And I was surprised that he could even, I know it's been years because I think it happened when he was a teenager. But wow, the way he described what happened, like you can see it so vividly, how this person broke into their home or entered their home, and he was on the couch in the living room. The killer went into the back room where his father was. I'm assuming his father was sleeping or something. I don't know. And the father opened the door, and then he closed it again. And the killer proceeded to shoot several times through the door because the father was, I guess he had his back on the door to keep it closed, holding it shut so the killer wouldn't come in. And so the killer just decided to shoot him through the door several times, and one of the bullets hit him in the neck. And so he was rushed to the hospital, and Gill tells Merla the moment that the doctors came out and told him that his father had passed. It was a really sad story. So that was the apartment that he grew up in. He says that he's talked about his father's death, several times to several people throughout the years, but he's never brought anyone to the home where it happened. And so this was the first time that he did that, and he did it with Merla. So he shared something so intimate with her in that way. For Merla, she doesn't take him to her childhood home because I think she grew up in another part of Texas, and so it wasn't anywhere nearby. But she takes him to beach volleyball because she played volleyball when she was in high school, and she was actually wearing the same uniform that she wore in high school. And I thought that was just amazing and spectacular, and it looked good on her. So they're playing beach volleyball, and she talks about how important sports was to her. It helped her be more disciplined, helped her be more responsible, and also helped her be more independent. And and then she shows him a picture of the home that she grew up in, which was like a really, I can't believe that an entire family lived in that. It was 4 kids and 2 adults. So 6 people lived in this tiny, it was practically a shack. This tiny little shack. It looked like a shed. And Gil says that sometimes Merla forgets where she came from, and he wants her to stay true to that because she's so bougie, and she always wants to find her things in life. So he thinks that sometimes she forgets what she forgets where she came from, and I think it's because of where she came from she's the way she is, because she spends a lot of money but she saves a lot of money. So I know he has an issue with her spending, but she saves too. She doesn't spend recklessly like, the money is just going out in one direction. She spends a lot and she saves a lot. She's really good at managing her money. So I'm not sure why Gil is having an issue with this. So they meet with Dr. Pepper, and I can't really tell you what was discussed because I was so distracted by how good Gil looked in that gray polo. I mean, that smooth chocolate skin against that gray polo. And I'm sitting there just wondering, like, Merla, you're not tapping into that yet? They've got to be. They have got to have already consummated this marriage, because I don't see how any woman can keep their hands off of Gil. And that is all yours, Merla. That is all yours. And I know you got to be playing in that playground every day, every night, 3-4 times a day. So, Gil looked good. And so they talk about finances again, and Gil says, how he wishes that she wouldn't spend so much, that she wouldn't shop as much. And he said, if you didn't, they have a goal of how much they want to save before they have children and before they buy a home. So they have a goal of how much they want to save and how long it's going to take them to get there. And he tells her, like, if we were to save more, then we would reach our goal quicker. And Merla is still kind of like, I don't understand what the issue is. I'm fine with with what I'm saving or with what we're saving. We're on track. We're not off track. We are on track. And this is how she lives her life. This is what she's used to. She's not going to change. And there's another, what's her name? I think her name is Stephanie. Her channel is called Stephanie Lee. I watch her, and she does the Married at First Sight reviews. And she had mentioned how, these people are older. They're in their 30s, mid-30s, and they're used to living a certain kind of way. And you can't tell a grown adult when they get married, what they can and can't do with their money anymore. That's kind of difficult. Her whole adult life, she's lived a certain way. She works hard and she plays hard. So I think that she might change for Gil, because kind of like, he just has this way of just putting things in perspective, let's say. Now, maybe she might change, but I don't think she should. I don't think she has to, because she's very responsible. Like I said, the money comes out, but it also goes back in. So she knows how to manage her money. And I feel like I'm repeating myself. And so Merla says that in her recent relationship before Gil, she was able to do whatever she wanted and no one told her no. And when she said that, Dr. Pepper was just like sipping her coffee like, okay. 1 point for Merla on that. So moving on to... who are we at? Jose and Rachel. It wasn't much going on with Jose and Rachel, I don't think. Did they even go to their childhood homes? Oh, yes, they did. They did. Okay, so Jose takes her to his home, which is a really nice home. This is a home that his parents had built from the ground up. They went inside. It was really beautiful. They had pictures of the family everywhere. It was a nice home. It was a cute little home. And he talks about how he had really humble beginnings and they were really, really poor. And I was like, poor where? Because this is a nice house. It's a really nice house. And he talked about, because compared to what we've seen, the shed that Merla and her family lived in, the empty lot that Bao came from. And now this is a beautiful home, beautiful family home. And he was talking about, yeah, we were really, really poor. We were so poor that we were eating rice and beans every day. And Rachel was like, well, I don't see rice and beans as being like because people eat that because they're poor. She goes, for us, we ate rice and beans because we're Mexican. It was like a culture thing. It wasn't like a poor thing, an economic thing. So she was like, my perspective of what poor is and what his perspective of what poor is completely different. When you look at the house he grew up in and the fact that they ate rice and beans, which is like, everybody eats rice and beans. And she was like, I didn't understand why he considered his family poor. And so then they meet with Dr. Pepper and they understand a couple of things about each other more now. Jose says that, when he's upset, he needs a space. And Rachel has learned to give him that space because before, she felt like they needed to talk right then and there. And like if he didn't talk about it right then and there, then the situation wasn't going to be resolved or whatever. But she said that she's learned to give him his space. And then when he's ready, he actually does come around and they actually do talk. And then he's learned to kind of let her be independent. She's a very independent, strong-willed woman. And he's allowing that to flourish in her instead of trying to suppress it and, like trying to do things for her or tell her how things need to go, like telling her what to do. He's learning to just sit back and let her be. And they made a joke about how he said he wanted a modern woman, but Dr. Pepper said, yeah, you wanted a modern woman, but you're a very traditional man. So we need to kind of make that come together. His tradition and her way of being modern and independent. We need to kind of, make that kind of meet in the middle somewhere. So that was wonderful. Later on that night, Dr. Pepper then talked about, are there any secrets that you need to tell your partner because we want to wipe the slate clean and whatever about secrets. So later on that night, she decides, she relays to us that they had a discussion earlier, which wasn't like recorded on the show, but we kind of see it in flashback from their living room cameras or something, where she had told him the night that he locked her out, she actually ended up calling one of her ex-boyfriends, and the ex-boyfriend came and picked her up, and she spent the night with him. Nothing happened, but they did spend the night together. And she's like, I just want to come clean because I don't want to hide anything from you. I want to be completely honest and completely transparent. So when she said that, I was really like worried because we understand how jealous Jose can get when she accidentally called him by another man's name. He lost his mind. And I think that's the day that he locked her out. So I was like, oh my God, how is he going to take this that, she called an ex to come pick her up? But he took it all in stride. It seemed like he was okay with it. And I hope that he really was okay with it. And he's not harboring any type of jealousy or anger that's going to pop out later and, use that against her in the future. Like, well, why don't you call that ex-boyfriend of yours to come get you? Because I'm sick and tired of you. So it seemed like he processed it well. And let's keep our fingers crossed because we know how Jose can get when he's mad. He kind of has a temper. Moving on to Brian. I guess that's what they'd be called if you join their names together. Moving on to Ryan and Brett. So they're on Ryan's family property and they're four-wheeling, and then they sit down on a blanket and then they read the whole letters, childhood letters to themselves, so on and so forth. And Brett said in her confessional that when he's in his element, like, on the farm, out there in nature, he's a lot more enjoyable. He's a lot better to get along with. And Ryan says that he didn't know what a good, healthy marriage was because his parents, I think, were divorced. So he didn't have an example of a good, healthy marriage, whereas Brett did. And then in 2019, because when he was reading his childhood letter, he talked about how in 2019, one of his best friends had died. So that was kind of sad. And then it seemed like he was feeling really good about the marriage because he said, things are a lot better now. They're better than they've ever been before between us. So I was like, feeling very optimistic until we move on to the next scene with them. Ryan comes back home from work. I think they're still living together. I don't think he moved out. I think he just moved into another room. So he comes home, and this was when she was supposed to show him her childhood pictures. And they sit down on the table, and she's like, you know what? I'm supposed to show you my childhood pictures, but bump all that. I just got some news, some really harsh news, and we're going to talk about that. And she tells him that someone had sent her, I guess one of her friends, had sent her some evidence that he was on a dating app and he was matched with one of her friends or someone that she knows. And she's like, dude, you're on a dating app and we're still married and we haven't even made it to decision day yet. And so he starts hemming and hawing and trying to think of a lie. And he says something. It was so ridiculous. He says that, what did he say? He downloaded the app. I think the day that she confronted him was the day that he downloaded the app and the day that he was matched with this friend of hers. And he said that he had deactivated the app the same day that he downloaded it, and that there was no communication between him and this other woman. Technology is going to be the downfall of all cheaters and liars, for real, because y'all are leaving a trail, evidence, all kinds of stuff, just begging to get caught. Like, the show wasn't even, you couldn't even wait, because I think they have 11 days or something until decision day. You couldn't even wait until after decision day before you got your groove back. You did it while you were still married to Rachel, and always on camera you're talking about how things are improving, things are getting better now, but you downloaded an app to meet. Anyways, so Brett was like, well, this is really messed up. And he says, I can show you on my phone that that I didn't communicate with this person and that I've deactivated the account. I can show you on my phone right now. And Brett's like, that's not even the issue. That's not even the issue. The fact that you downloaded a dating app while we are still married and we are still working on our issues. As far as I know, we haven't thrown in the towel yet on this marriage. We're still trying to figure things out. That's what he keeps telling her. I'm still trying to figure things out. You don't even have the decency, the respect to wait until after decision day. Like, that app ain't going nowhere. These women ain't going nowhere. And then you get matched. So you kept your little, I don't know what dating app you use. I don't know how dating apps work, because when I got married in the dark ages and none of this stuff was around. So I'm not even sure how these things work, but I'm assuming that you can choose women who are in your area. So you probably limited your search, or you narrowed your search to women who are in your little area, not even thinking that the possibility of this coming out, or you being discovered, or possibly meeting someone that might know her, that might know one of her friends. Stupid. Just stupid. So she's sitting there, she's holding on to her childhood pictures. And she's just like, no, I'm not, this is not how it's going to go. And he's like, okay, well, I guess I'll leave now. And he expeditiously exits out the door, and he tells the producer, I can even show you that I've deactivated my account. And the producer was like, well, send that to her. So he sends her this, I guess he sends her the proof that the account was deactivated. And he also sends her a text. And the text says something about he didn't intend for it to be active until after decision day. And has no idea why it was still showing. Just admit it. Just admit what you did. Just admit it. Okay, maybe your relationship with her is over. Okay. And I was like, for you, it's been over for a while. Since she came out from your honeymoon, it's been over. Maybe your relationship with her is over. Fine. We get it. But have some respect to the fact that you're still married to her, and just tell her the truth. Yes, I thought it was over between us. I didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm trying to move on with my life. It was only 11 days until I tell you that I want to divorce you. So yes, I did download the app. The damage has been done, so just admit it. You're making it worse by lying. And so now you're proven to be a liar. And who would want to marry a liar? So, and then when he told her he didn't intend for it to be active until after decision day. What does that mean? So there's like a timer on the app, like you set it to be active on a certain day, and you have set it to be active after decision day. I totally don't understand that. And if it don't make sense, it ain't true. That's all I got to say about that. So, Ryan, you're a jerk. You're a whole entire jerk. But y'all, Gill looked good in that gray polo. Merla. Girl, you're a one lucky woman. That is my review for Married at First Sight. Thank you for joining me. If you made it into 39 minutes of this review, mwah, I love you. I appreciate you more than you'll ever know. If you like it, just give me a thumbs up. If you think it was even just halfway decent, give me a thumbs up. And if you really do like it, go ahead and subscribe. It's okay. Give me up to 7 whole subscribers. It'll make my day. And I will talk to you later. Bye.